Hey, you guys. So, here are some ways that people can manipulate you and you may not even know it because they're making you responsible for them and they're turning it around to make you seem selfish. And I just want to give you some examples because those of us who are really kind and want to be empathetic, we can easily get taken out by that if we don't know that it's a manipulation tactic. And the people doing it are not doing it on purpose. The people who do these things that have inspired me to make this video are actually nice people who are just have a blind spot. They don't even know they're doing it because they just lose all sense of self-awareness and they feel easily triggered or attacked and they go into this defense mode and they don't even know that they're doing it and they've done it for their whole lives. So here I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about. Say someone did something bad. And bad could be, they came 15 minutes late to a movie you were supposed to see, or they actually had like a triggering outbreak where they raged at you. And it could be something small or something big, but they did something, okay? And they, instead of taking responsibility, now they make themselves the victim. So not only did they violate your boundaries, but now they're also holding you responsible so that you don't, they think it's your fault and they don't want to take responsibility. So they may say something like, I'm so sorry that I hit you. I'm so sorry that I was late. I really wanted to be there for you. I really wanted to be nicer to you. I was really trying so hard. So it's all about them, and now the focus is on them and comforting them. It could also be, poor me. I'm so upset that I lost my temper. I'm so upset that I was stuck in traffic. It's all about them. I guess one thing that comes to mind for me here is, without naming names, there were some coaches I worked with years ago who were in their late 20s, early 30s, and this is another example in addition to the ones I just gave you. And they got married during the time that I was working with them, and they made online courses about how to be in relationships, and they were actively reading Harville Hendrix's book, How to Get the Love You Want. They had retreats. I went to one. And they were kind of known in the local community as the couple who really could do relationships well, who could resolve conflict and work through things and have a powerful relationship. But the wheels came off the cart a couple years later when she came out on a Facebook post and a video they made together. They often made videos together. And she proclaimed that she found out she is gay. And that's totally fine, but the point I had a problem with, and I still do, is it was all about her. And he got suckered in, because I think he was kind of a codependent. He got suckered in, let's call her Alice. Alice comes out as gay. I found out I'm gay, we're going to get divorced, and, and her husband is like, poor Alice, this is so hard on you. Alice, I will be here for you. Alice, I'm here to support you. And it was all about her, and that's fine, except the missing piece was, what about him? What about him, that he was in love with this woman who was gay, that she had sex with him, presumably not loving it, that she betrayed him in a way, and that he had a right to have feelings about it. What about the husband? What about the husband? He was completely left out of it, and he allowed that. I will never forget that. In the end, she got into a relationship with a woman, a very unattractive woman, because she always had to be the pretty one. And he moved to another state. I looked him up on Facebook a couple years later, and he was dating this very beautiful, cute woman who looked like totally in love and adoring of him, and that's what he deserved, because he actually was, of the two, my favorite one in that relationship. He was actually a super good guy. They're both in their early 30s. And again, for those hypergamous people, these two made the equal amounts of money. She was not looking to get up, and her current girlfriend now makes less money than she does. So there's your hypergamy BS. Anyway, the point being that a lot of people don't want to take accountability. They want to be the center of attention and have all the devotion on them, and they don't want to be accountable. So I'm late, but I'm not going to apologize for being late or take responsibility. I'm going to say I really just wanted to be there for you. And it can get very confusing for the other person, like, wait a second, you're late, but now I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. And then if you tell that person, I'm not going to feel sorry for you, like, you were late, you can cause a big argument, because this person will say, well, I feel so bad. You should feel bad for me. And they really believe it. So these people can really fuck with your head. Another type of dysfunctional behavior is someone who isn't in a partnership or marriage, who isn't taking responsibility for their part of the domestic chores. Like, let's say you have an agreement to split the chores a certain way, and they always forget, or they're too tired, or they're too busy. In short, they're checked out of being accountable. And then the other person who is more responsible picks up the slack and starts getting resentful. And if you bring it up, you can't really yell. I'm not a fan of yelling at people, but if you bring it up and say, hey, can we make a chore list, or just giving a reminder. So this person will start to give reminders, and then this person starts to feel really controlled. And this person starts to feel really angry, like, why aren't you doing your chores, that you agreed to? Because now I'm doing everything. I'm working more than you. I'm taking more care of the kids than you, and I'm doing more of the chores than you, because you kind of checked out here. And this person might say, back off. They might go into a one-up, walled-off position. Like, if you say to that person, I feel so frustrated that, I come home from work and I have, the chores aren't done, or whatever, however you want to say it. And your partner can say, you're such a nag, or you're so selfish. If you say, I'm so mad that I'm doing more than you, the person could go, you're so selfish. I'm just tired. Or say that the person has a mental health issue, like they have anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, panic attacks, and they're not going to therapy for any of it. This person's going to start getting pissed off. But see, this person can be very manipulative and be like, well, I can't help it. You're the one who made me so mad. You just need to be more understanding. You're not a good enough wife. You're not a good enough husband. You need to step it up. I'm just acting this way because of you. Or, I'm just depressed. You got to leave me alone. Like, they're not taking responsibility. And this person, who's usually a more empathetic person, will try to figure out how to be okay with it, but they're getting more and more angry, yet they feel they can't get angry because, after all, this person has problems. But here's the thing, you guys. Adults are accountable for their behavior. It doesn't matter whether you're drunk and in a blackout. It doesn't matter whether you're depressed and sleeping, whether you have borderline personality disorder and went into an emotional rage blackout, whether you have anxiety and don't want to go anywhere. You as an adult, and all of us, are responsible for our behavior. And if you're with someone who is not being responsible, it makes sense that you're pissed off. And you can get really swirly feelings when that person's telling you, that's just how I am. You just need to be more understanding. You're expecting too much of me. It can get very confusing. It can fuck with your head in the same way that gaslighting can. But these people are not narcissists. They're self-aware. They're actually introspective. but they have this blind spot and there's these areas where they want you to back off. And they'll say, I need you to be more patient. I need you to be more understanding. I need you to do more. I need you to understand me. You can't bother me. At the same time, they're not improving at all. Their behavior for years has not improved at all. And some of these people are either on medication or going to therapy, but they're not going to effective therapy. They're going to half-ass therapy, so they're not even making any improvements in their lives. So this video is intended to show you, okay, what I really recommend that you start doing is don't let yourself be confused by these people telling you to back off or to be more understanding or it's all your fault. Don't be confused. This video is for those of you who are confused about why you're mad. And my ex-husband did a version of this, and I struggled with this for 3 years, but it was kind of a different type. It was more like, how can I be okay with what's happening? That's another red flag when you're like, I don't like this, but I'm supposed to be okay with it. How come I'm not okay with it? What's wrong with me for not being okay with this? So what's really important is to make polite requests and share your feelings. I think that's a really good place to start. That's what I recommend that you do. Like, I feel frustrated when I come home from work and you're still sleeping. I'm angry when I come home from work and you're still sleeping. I'm really frustrated that you rage at me. I'm really angry that you rage at me. I feel really helpless. I feel really alone when I'm going to family functions and you're not going because you're depressed. I feel very helpless. I feel very stuck in this relationship. I feel trapped. Just start sharing how you feel, because if you don't, you probably will have, your anger will either occasionally blow up at the person or be triggered and inside of yourself. You have a right to express your feelings, and so does the other person, without any yelling. The other person, you might say, I'm very angry when I come home and you're sleeping. And your partner may say, well, I'm very angry that you're not understanding of me. Schedule a family meeting. Schedule a meeting where you talk about your own boundaries, what you're okay with in the relationship, if you want to go to therapy, and make a plan. And see if that person is making progress on that plan. Do not let them manipulate you or take you out, because if you're empathetic and caring and you want to make your relationship work and you're the one more likely to take accountability, it's easy to take you out, because you're going to be like, how can I stop them from getting angry all the time? I'm walking on eggshells. How can I stop this? Or how can I get this person to actually open up to me? And they're not. Nothing is changing. So it's very frustrating. You have the right to have the kind of relationship that you want. And you may want to explore whether your expectations are realistic by seeing a therapist yourself. And I really recommend couples therapy so that you can make a plan and get a therapist who is going to be willing to take on the obstinate partner, because these people can be very manipulative and some therapists are easily manipulated. We have to remember that every adult is accountable for their behavior, regardless of their mental health issues, because all mental health issues can be remediated with good therapy or with medication sometimes, or inpatient treatment. There are actually inpatient treatment programs or outpatient treatment programs for people not addicted to substances but having deep emotional trauma issues. And expect to see progress being made. If you're with someone who doesn't want to go to therapy, who doesn't want to make a plan, and where there is no progress, then eventually it's going to probably drive you to darker and darker places in yourself, because it's very frustrating to be in a relationship with someone like that And in order to tolerate it, you may have to dissociate from yourself or find a coping mechanism that isn't the healthiest one. I'm a really big believer that the people in our home and our home life has to be life-sustaining and nurturing. And when it isn't, I definitely try to address that. And if I can't address that, I need to get the hell out of there, because I can't be with people who won't be accountable. And I have to be accountable too. I have to be accountable, and I'm willing to be accountable. Now, there could be people who want to hold you accountable to some really unrealistic standards, maybe for you. Like, they might want to spend a lot of money on traveling, or they might want to do a lot of activities and want you to do more than you want to do. So I don't know. I think people have to kind of get a comfort zone in their relationship. But I always am like, do I feel at home in this relationship? Do I feel at home? And I think a good place to start, you guys, is to start expressing how you feel, so you can start being aware of how you feel, instead of letting other people tell you how you feel or how you should feel. Because some of these people get super confused, and they think that their actual feeling is what the other person is telling them. They start thinking that they're not good enough, that they're not patient enough, that they're not understanding enough. And if they're religious, they may even ask God to keep helping them to be more understanding of a partner who's completely unaccountable and checked out and a victim. So start tuning into how you actually feel. And if you don't feel comfortable telling your partner, start writing it down. This is how I feel. Start tuning into your own feelings, because your feelings are really a guide to what's going on. Now, one more thing I want to say, there's a difference between feelings and triggers. Reactivity is something that comes on super fast and that takes you over. And that is where your behavior is out of proportion to the event. Okay? So that's a trigger. So don't go on your triggers. A feeling is you being aware of something. Like, I feel angry when, I feel frustrated when, I am, feel alone in this relationship. But if you're like yelling or shutting down, that's reactivity. That's not a feeling. So you have to be able to calm yourself and see how you're really feeling. And so that's what I recommend. So, hope this was helpful.